Oh hey guys, and welcome to another video, and welcome to a very gloomy day in Wales, so if the lighting disappears, that will be the reason. Today's video is going to be a book haul, because apparently I am just addicted to spending money, and this is actually going to be the first of two book hauls that I have for you this week. This one will sort of feature a little bit of everything, while the second one will be completely horror themed, because I feel like I've sort of unintentionally drifted away from my favourite genre. So I decided to rectify that by going on Amazon and spending a lot of money. So I bought 8 horror books that are currently in the post, so expect that video to come later on in the week. But for this video I will just be showing you the books that I've accumulated over say the last 3 or 4 weeks, and they are a little bit of everything genre-wise. Let's just get to the books, shall we? So the first book I have to show you is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is a science fiction novel about a woman called Rosemary who joins the crew of a ship called the Wayfarer. This is an interesting one because it's really not your typical science fiction. It's a lot more of a slower story. It's more about our main character meeting the crew of her ship and just sort of stopping off at markets on the way to this small angry planet. More a novel concerned with introducing species and sort of talking about their politics and their lifestyles than sort of having a lot of action, really. In case you can't tell, I have already read this one, but I really loved it. And I was worried it was going to be a bit too hard sci-fi for me, but it ended up being the perfect introduction to hard sci-fi, just because it really takes its time introducing its characters and setting. I ended up knowing I was going to love this about 100 pages in, so I actually ended up going ahead and ordering A Closed and Common Orbit, the sequel, or sidequel, I believe. From the blurb on the back, it doesn't seem to continue with our main characters from the first book. Instead, it follows a character that is introduced within the last 10 pages of the first novel, so I'm guessing we're going to find out now about her adventures, and I'm really looking forward to this one. It's been a long time since I've read any science fiction that I've really gotten into, and everybody seems to love this sequel, so yay. The next book comes in at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and that is A Little Life by Yanagihara. Can you believe that I actually practiced that before picking it up and still managed to get it wrong? This one was all over BookTube for the longest time, so I don't really feel like I need to talk too much about it. I've heard a lot of people say it falls under the category of emotional torture porn, where you're just sort of following people who have one bad thing after another happen to them, but people do generally seem to like it. There definitely must be a lot of masochists out there. A lot of people told me this book actually made them cry, so I guess I will read this book and find out whether or not I have a heart. It is, however, a lot longer than I expected. I mean, 700 pages. That's a lot of bad stuff to happen to a certain amount of people. And now again we jump to a completely different genre, and that is going to be Magic Binds by Alona Andrews. This is an urban fantasy novel, and this is number 9 in the Kate Daniels series. Overall, I don't really think I've talked too much about urban fantasy on my channel, but it was definitely one of the genres, especially in my teens, that really focused me on reading. I mean, I still read series now that I am like 20 books in, and I would say that Kate Daniels is one of the best. Actually, strike that. I would probably say it is the best urban fantasy series that I have read. While it does follow staples of the genre, it also really expands on that. It's got a really good magic system, and it's a lot more fantastical than most urban fantasy series. For instance, in this series there are a group of witches who live in the stomach of a giant turtle who lives in the park. And it works. I know it doesn't sound like it will work, but believe me, it does. Overall, if you really enjoy urban fantasy and haven't picked this one up yet, I highly recommend it. Just ignore the covers, because, well, it's urban fantasy. Sticking with the fantasy genre this time around, we have A Natural History of Dragons, a memoir by Lady Trent by Marie Brennan. That was a bit of a mouthful. This series starts off with a young girl fascinated by dragons, but she's growing up in Victorian times in sort of a patriarchal world, where she is basically told that she cannot study dragons because it is a man's profession. And this book basically follows her on her first adventure as she first comes into contact with dragons and studies them. This is actually a book about studying dragons and not riding them out on grand adventures, but I have already read it and I really did enjoy it. In fact, I've ordered the sequel already. If you like dragons and strong women characters kicking ass in a patriarchal world, this book is for you. And then the last 2 books I have to show you are 2 I don't really know much about. The first one is Euphoria by Lily King, and the second is The Interestings by Meg Walletsworth. This is not such a good video for the pronunciation of names. So all I know about Euphoria is that it's actually about two anthropologists who go to study tribes in New Guinea, and while they are there they meet another couple and a lot of tensions rise from that somehow. I'm not sure of the reasons for this tension, but a lot of people have spoke about this on BookTube and I've heard it's rather good. It's also based on the life of Margaret Mead, but I think it's more of sort of a mixture of the factual and the fictional, which sounds really interesting. And you know, if you're going to judge a book by its cover, then this one's pretty good. And then the Interestings, I believe, is all about 6 characters who meet at summer camp when they are a lot younger, and then the rest of the book just follows their lives and all the drama that ensues. I've heard a lot of people quite like this one, and if I'm honest, family dramas and dramas in general really are not my usual thing. I tend to like stuff that's more supernatural, fantasy, science fiction. There has to be some other element to keep me interested, but I'm really interested to give this a go and see what I think of it. So there you go, those are all the books that I have for this first haul. Do be on the lookout for my second haul coming later this week that is more themed around the horror genre. I'm really excited to get back into that genre. I've missed it quite a bit, but since I have shown you all the books, this is going to be all from me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, because I will be back with another video very soon. Bye!